Hey everyone, Delphi Trading Group here with another weekly market report that we put out every week for you guys. Now, it's been about 2 weeks since our last report because we did put out a special report last week on what we were seeing with the monthly charts of December. So we put that out last week instead. So if you haven't looked at it, please check it out. And again, it's been about 2 weeks. You can see all our targets hit from back then. Right here, you can see our target right there from last week hit on the SPY. Now we're in December, and there's a thing called the Santa Claus rally. Okay, a lot of people think the Santa Claus rally is the whole month of December. That is not the case. Okay, the Santa Claus rally is historically the last 5 trading days of December and the first 2 trading days of January. Okay, so sometimes, the retail and, the Wall Street, I call them clowns on Wall Street, tend to manipulate the market to make, retail traders think the Santa Claus rally has started in the beginning of December or even the end of November. But again, that is not the case. Now, does that mean it's not going to happen this year? We're not saying that. And, we could keep bleeding higher. But all we can do is go off the charts and what we see here at Delphi. Okay, that's all we can do. We don't know what's going to happen from now until the end of December. We don't know if Santa's going to show up or not. But again, all we could do is go off the charts. And you can see all our targets from the past are hitting over 90% hit rate, which is pretty crazy. All right, so what does that mean now? This is the SPY. And hang on, we're going to give a couple bonus plays as well as kind of a Christmas gift to you guys. So what am I seeing here on the SPY? Well, SPY seems to be rolling over. Okay, we had a bearish shooting star there. I'll talk about shooting stars in a minute more. And now we are still a little far from the averages. We have a gap right there. The volume is going down, which is telling us the buyers could be taking a break or leaving. The CCI is pivoting lower, and the stochastic is still way overbought, and it's just crossing now. Okay, when you see the stochastic cross like that, like it did back here, okay, that is a sell signal. You can see what happened to the SPY up here when it crossed, and here's another time it crossed here, and then you can see what happened to the SPY there. Okay, so for our forecast, we are going to go lower. Okay, we're going to go towards the moving averages here down. Okay, kind of maybe right around there. Because remember, the longer the SPY stays up here, the moving averages are going to keep going higher. So we're probably going to try to, meet that. Okay, it could go lower, but for our forecast, that's what we're doing here on the SPY. Okay, the Qs is going to be very similar here on the Qs. Again, everything very similar to the SPY, volume going down, CCI pivot. Stochastic has not crossed yet on the Qs, but we think that it could. Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing on the Qs. And again, you can see our target from 2 weeks ago hit here on the Qs. Okay, we are going to go lower again towards the moving averages right about there. So that's going to be our forecast for next week to continue rolling over here and go lower towards the moving averages. Okay, now the moving averages could provide support right now. So you have to watch the moving averages if the indexes get there. Okay, IWM is at a monster move as of late. Okay, and again, our forecast target from 2 weeks ago hit here. You could see that on the IWM. IWM made a new lifetime high today. So, celebrate if you want. Made a new lifetime high barely by, about 20 cents or so. But again, look what's going on down below. Volume is going lower. CCI crossing that top line, overbought line. Stochastic about to cross there. So we are going to go lower on the IWM. Okay, we're going to go, since we're up here, we're going to go down again towards the moving averages, maybe to there. Okay, it could go lower. It could actually drop down to the moving averages, which would not surprise us. But that's where we're going for now. Okay, you cannot ignore the strength in the IWM, which is kind of crazy to us because small caps are tied to interest rates, and while the IWM has been going up, so have the interest rates, which again tells us how kind of wacky this market is right now. Okay. Also, don't forget the Fed meets tomorrow for an interest rate cut. Speaking of interest rates, the Fed meets tomorrow. That is always the main event of the day and maybe even the week. So just be careful, okay? News, Fed, everything trumps the charts, okay? So just be careful trading right now, you guys, because again, charts could look bearish. Some news comes out with the Fed and markets reverse higher and blast off, okay? So just be mindful of that. All right, let's look at some bonus plays. We're going to give 3 today. All right, so these are all going to be contingent on a pivot, okay? A pivot is when you have, in this case on Netflix here, a pivot higher, which would mean a higher low and a higher high, okay? That would constitute a pivot, okay? So contingent on a pivot, we think Netflix could go higher here, okay? This thing has been just destroyed this year. And even as of late, we had a monster trade on puts last week on Netflix off of some UOA. And because we saw this was support, this level broke. Now it's resistance, which is why it's red. And now we're at some pretty strong support down here. So on a pivot up, and there's the closing bell. We do think Netflix is going to go higher. Look at the volume dropping down here. Remember, when volume drops as a stock drops, that's bullish. That's telling us the sellers could be leaving. CCI way oversold, now pivoting up, and look where the stochastic is. So on a pivot, we do think Netflix is going to go higher. Next, let's look at Serve. Okay, Serve here. We're actually bullish on Serve for the very long term. This is one of our long-term positions in our long-term portfolio. We got in this, I believe it was under $9 back in a while back. But anyway, what do we see here now on Serve? This also has had a move up on some Trump robotics talks a couple weeks ago. But now look at this. We have a very pronounced shooting star. Okay, shooting stars at tops are bearish. They're one of our favorite candles, especially when you see them at resistance here. Okay, and it is, it was way over the Bollinger Band, and again, look below here. The volume was dropping on the way up. Now on that shooting star, the volume's up. Okay, look at that CCI. Was almost off the chart, pivoting lower. Look at the stochastic. Okay, so all these signals are telling us on a pivot. Remember, now a pivot here would be a lower high and a lower low. Okay, that would be a pivot, which may come tomorrow. So if we do get the pivot here, we do think we're going to head right back down to these moving averages on Serve Robotics, okay? So that's Serve. And the other one, very similar shooting star here on Royal Bank of Canada. We do not really, or me personally, I do not like trading financials. They're very news driven. But this chart is just screaming, taking a breather, okay? Again, we have another shooting star there. And we are right at the top Bollinger Band. Look how far away we are from the moving averages. Look at that volume drop today after a stale green light. Okay, we had 5 green days in a row. That is called a stale green light. Now we have a lower red. Look at the CCI. Look at the stochastic. Okay, so on a pivot, we do think this is going to go lower. Okay, now it might not go all the way down to the moving averages. Okay, but we do think we could get a move lower here on Royal Bank of Canada. Probably just go down maybe to this level here and then see what happens, okay? Now, it could go all the way back down to the moving averages, especially with the Fed tomorrow talking about interest rates. Who knows? But again, contingent on that pivot. If you guys are going to trade these, wait for the pivots in this market, okay? So that is it from us here. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Please, again, like, subscribe, get the word out. We're doing some amazing things here. We're closing in on our best year trading ever. Just some incredible trades this year. So again, please get the word out, like, subscribe, and again, hope you guys Like the bonus plays, good luck if you guys follow those. And we'll see how everything looks for next week when we return next week on our next weekly market report. Take care, have a good day, and good luck trading.